All right, guys. So welcome back to the Skin is In podcast. This is kind of like our at-home edition. As you can see, we're on a Zoom call. And today I've got someone who I am so obsessed with. And I say this about a lot of people because I am obsessed with a lot of people, but there's just something very, very special about you. You hold a very special place in my heart. So Miss Veronika from Luxe
Hello.
Aesthetics. And today we're going to film an episode about your lash business and your tips to people who are wanting to just dive into the beauty industry, specifically with lashes. But today we're actually going to get to know a little bit about you and just your mindset and basically your advice to thrive. Because I've told you this before we started recording. When I think of like thriving, like someone who is literally killing it in every area of their life, like you're the person that comes to my head. So to start off, I want to ask you a couple questions just to let our audience get to know you, and also just to kind of some like icebreaker questions. So the first thing is, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where were you from? Where did you grow up? All that good stuff. Kind of introduce yourself to the listeners.
Well, thank you, Natalie, for the very, very kind introduction. I must say so myself that I girl crush on Natalie all day, every day,
Oh my
forever since the
gosh.
second I have met her. I'm sure everybody shares the
Yes.
same love for you because you are just that.
No, that's you. Yeah, literally that's you. Like you're my girl crush for sure. So thank you for that. I'm so happy that we met.
Likewise. So to talk about me, I'm Veronika, as Natalie so kindly introduced me. I am the CEO of Luxe Aesthetics, and I'm nearing my quarter of a decade birthday. I'll be 25 this year,
Ah, that's so
celebrating,
exciting.
hopefully not in quarantine, but who's to say what's coming
Yeah,
tomorrow.
yeah.
But a little bit about me, I was actually born in Poland, so I am an immigrant. I am a first generation US doer, let's say. I'm Polish, and my family and I have been here for almost my whole life. I came here when I was pretty young. And so that is a pretty integral part of who I am and why I drive to be more, coming from almost nothing to now something, and hopefully more somethings to come. So
Yes.
originally my goals were in the medical industry, and they still are because I have just completed nursing school, so I am
Ah,
soon to be,
congratulations.
thank you, I'm soon
Congratulations.
to be a nurse graduate next week actually. So I'm still very much invested in the medical industry, but along my journey within the medical world, I stumbled upon lash extensions. Almost 3 years now I've been doing lash extensions, and something that literally was a simple side hustle in between, undergrad and grad school, has turned into now this entire business where it's not just me, it's me and my team, and I'm still doing lashes. I've incorporated other aesthetic services like microblading, combo brows, powder brows, cosmetic teeth whitening, and I've built a team. I built a team of women that together work towards this whole idea of being beautiful inside and out, and sort of readjusting the norms of the aesthetic industry, and not only providing for our clients but providing for students, because I am a teacher and I've learned to sort of live by the term of there is more than enough room for every woman to win. So I feel like you're somebody who really embodies that, and that's why I'm super excited to be here today and sort of share more about myself and all the things that contribute to who I am and what more is Luxe Aesthetics.
Yes, and I just have to say I love that. I love, your history. And obviously like you embody that. Like you are someone who like, obviously like for those of you guys who are listening to the podcast, definitely go watch the YouTube version of this because we filmed the podcast live. But not only are you extremely stunning and gorgeous on the outside, but you just have a beautiful soul and like or aura to you. So I think that you really do embody that. And I love what you said about finding out that, there is enough for everyone in this industry, and not just enough, like there's more than enough. There's
Yes.
enough for all of us to not only like survive and, make ends meet in this industry, but there is enough for all of us to thrive if you're willing to kind of open up your mindset and really do the hustling parts of it. So you kind of touched on this, but did you ever see yourself doing, lashes, like owning, and like an aesthetics business? And, now obviously you're an RN. So like, was that the goal when you set out? Did you eventually think like, I want to do like more medical aesthetics, or like what was kind of your mindset when you first were like graduating high school and embarking into like college and what I call like the real world?
So originally graduating from high school, going into undergrad, aesthetics were nowhere on my radar in terms of my future. However, it is something that I grew up around. My mom is an esthetician. She has her own successful salon.
Hey.
Yes, she's super into skincare. And so throughout, I want to say high school and my entire undergrad education, I was sort of the person of her business. So in terms of managing it in its entirety, minus the actual performing any type of aesthetic service, would describe my role
Wow.
there. So I was always involved. However, I was not myself actually doing anything. And so I always joked around that I wanted to be a surgeon previously. That was sort of like my goal in undergrad. I wanted to go into reconstructive surgery. So things happened and I made a decision to, instead of pursuing medical school, pursue nursing school. And it was a hard decision to make because I was very sort of challenged in my own self by having to reroute. The type of person that I am, I'm stubborn, hopefully in a good way, but I'm stubborn with myself sometimes because I set a goal and that was a goal that I had sort of set in stone for years and years on end. So it was hard to readjust, but changing my decision and pursuing instead nursing school and being able to actually scale my business from this tiny little side hustle to now a very healthy, functioning, over
Yeah,
six-figure success is
that's
awesome.
amazing.
And it makes me really thankful that I had that sort of hurdle to overcome and I had to sort of choose what my next move was going to be. So I started doing lashes in between undergrad and what would have been medical school. And that was just sort of this little side hustle thing that, was supposed to bring me in some kind of income. And I always made the joke that my surgeon
That's
hands, my manual dexterity was supposed to now be so, rewarding in terms of doing lashes. So that's sort of where it started. It started in being this tiny little side hustle that was just supposed to make me a little bit of extra money. And that sort of opened the floodgates to living life on my own terms. And I was 21 years old, making a significant amount of money for a 21-year-old and with freedom nonetheless. I was not locked into a 9 to 5, allowing someone else to dictate my schedule. I was able to book my clients however I chose. And that's sort
right.
of why I was able to continue growing my business even when I returned back to school to do my accelerated nursing program. Because as my schedule changed with school, I was able to sort of manipulate my schedule with my clients and sort of be able to integrate both without them actually conflicting. And so I didn't think I would be here, but I am here. And I still have a really driven passion for medicine. That's why I want to continue my medical education. I want to continue my medical career. But of course, I'm interested in medical aesthetics, and that is my end goal. So Luxe Aesthetics has grown so much already, but it's nowhere near where it will be. And especially now because I have completed my education, the growth of Luxe Aesthetics is sort of like on fast forward now. So I'm super excited for what the next year, 2, 5 have to bring.
That is so amazing. And also congratulations on just
Thank you.
conquering such a big thing in your life. Like I have so many people around me who are, nurses, RNs, MPs, whatever the case may be. And like that, it's so hard. You spend so much time getting like, that degree or any degree. So like having a business, a successful business and a high performing business, like throughout that time is so amazing and commendable. And it's so like, that's why I'm so obsessed with you, because I'm like, how do you do this? Like you're literally someone who I feel like has like more hours, but I know obviously you don't. You just are very, very structured in how you, and kind of advise your time out. So, and getting into this, because you and I could talk about business all day. Like
Yes.
if you want to hear about how Veronica has like grew and like scaled her lash business, Luxe Aesthetics, and just her aesthetic business in general. Definitely check out our episode, How to Build a Successful Lash Business. But for this episode, I want to just be filming. I feel like you are such an amazing example and role model for not only just young women, but just people in general, who want to live a really, structured, disciplined, successful life. And I don't just mean successful financial, like making a lot of money, but having wealth in every area of your life and really, really thriving. So for those of you guys who don't know Weronika, you just received your RN, your nursing degree. If you know Weronika personally, you know that she is like a health and fitness fanatic, and you take such good care of your body, and you're obviously stunning and amazing. But how do you do it all? Like, that is something that I feel like the normal person like me, who like is just struggling to like wake, especially during quarantine, is just struggling to wake up at like 8 a.m. right now. Align your time up between all of the things you've got going on. Like, what is your approach to having structure and having discipline in these areas? And has it kind of, I know you mostly accredit kind of your mindset to everything that you've kind of done in your life. So what is your kind of focus how do you allot your time so easily?
So I'm the type of person that works very well under pressure. So I always joke that the reason why I procrastinate is because I produce my best results when the clock is ticking. I realize not everybody is like that. And of course, my way of life and my routine is applicable to me, and it's applicable to people like me. So ever since I've been able to sort of make the decisions of what my time is like, perhaps around high school, when you get to sort of manage your time, what extracurricular activities you get to do, and so on. Ever since then, I was always in school, on a sports team, working a job constantly. So that has sort of laid the brickwork of who I am today, because it's almost identical. I am somebody who functions at my optimum with multiple plates spinning at all times. And we talked about this before. I like when my plate is full, but don't get me wrong, just like any human being, I need to recharge from time to time. But that is something that can be incorporated into that schedule and into that routine. Personally, I think that the most important factor in influencing you to be able to keep up with your routine is the desire to perform. If you are somebody who is working a job that you absolutely hate, naturally, you will not want to wake up at 7 a.m. to go and do that job. Now, don't get me wrong. There has been times that I've had clinicals that I had to literally be up and out of the house by no later than 5:30 in the morning. Of course, do I want to have to be up so early? No, but I'm able to understand that that action then contributes to the end goal. And that's something that I think a lot of people choose to either neglect or entirely just don't give any attention to, the concept of delayed gratification. Although I may not want to wake up at the crack of dawn to attend this clinical today, I know that doing this is going to allow me to graduate, to become a nurse, to then pursue my dreams. So I think that you have to find that balance in doing what you love every single day, and then also doing the things that you might not love, but you like, that you know will contribute to you living your life on your terms in the future.
100%. And we were just having a conversation about delayed gratification and how, and self-sacrificing basically is what it is, and how it is. And like there's things in my life right now that like I've been working on, and that they're so frustrating, and a part of me almost wants to like vent about them and like discuss them. And this is something that I talked about in the past before, not talking about things until it's permanent, and kind of not like wanting to shout out and being like, oh, I'm working on this, or like I've got this coming, or stay tuned for this, which obviously we want to hype up projects, but before it's ready, because we get a little bit of gratification from that, instant gratification, because we know that people are excited and we want to talk about all the exciting things we're working on. But in reality, it's that delayed gratification. It's better if you wait on things and if you have discipline in that area to keep, something quiet for yourself. And that's just one example. There's so many different situations where a lack of discipline can really, really affect things for the worst. So was there anything particular that happened in your life that kind of brought this mindset on? That was there a shift for you? I know you said you've always kind of been very busy and very like structured, but do you feel like before you didn't have in the front of your head, this is like, I'm doing this because I want to be successful. I want to do this because this is a habit of highly successful people. Or, was it just something that kind of came naturally, or, did you used to not think about it as much, or, what basically, how did this mindset for you, or was it always just natural?
So the concept of delayed gratification and sort of like doing what you have to do now in order to accomplish what you want to accomplish later has always, probably since my undergrad pre-med time, been a pretty important pillar in just getting through it. But I would have to say that the most pivotal moment in terms of my new attitude towards delayed gratification had to have been when I made the decision to stick to my craft of doing lashes, growing my business, and instead attending nursing school instead of medical school. And the reason why is because attending nursing school allowed me to still pursue my passion in medicine, still continue my craft, still build my business. That option and that decision allowed me to live life on my terms. And I struggled with making that decision because I had to let go of this image that society creates of the white coat. And so I had to let go of this like little fairy tale dream that I had. And I thought that I was giving up on myself, but I wasn't. Instead, I was choosing to provide better for myself. And the second that I let go of what society might think about me and what everybody, that I grew up with, everybody that I shared this dream of mine of being a doctor with, what they would think of me, the second I let go of that, I literally just sort of like a butterfly out of its cocoon soared to the next level of personal greatness, because I was able to sort of break out of that box of societal judgment and be my best self in the areas that I was already succeeding in. So that was just, the pivoting point to just level up even further. So if I could give anybody a piece of advice, it would be to literally just forget about what anybody else has to say about you. I mean, I'm blonde and I get this whole like stereotype, not bombshell, what's the word? The airhead,
Like dumb blonde.
Yes, I get that whole like bimbo's the B word I was looking for. I get the whole bimbo stereotype thrown at me since forever. And I used to almost be afraid to sort of be like feminine and be girly and wear pink because it put me so much in that Barbie mold. But the second that I let go of that and the second that I actually took advantage of that, it literally allowed me just to like level up. And now I wear pink all the time because why not? Why am I going to readjust and realign based on what others may think of me? Because at the end of the day, of course, you have your close circle and you have your friends and your family and your team, but really, you have yourself day in and day out, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 a year. You have yourself. So if you are truly content with who you are and you're content with your decisions and you are wanting more and more for yourself, then you're on the right track, because at the end of the day, you got you, and that's all.
I love that. And I think that, for those of you guys listening to this, you really need to just wind everything that she just said and listen to that like again and again, like make it like your morning routine to just listen to everything she said, because I even relate to that. I come from a very like rural community. There's a lot of poverty. There was like one person, like one of my cousins is like the only person in our like immediate family who's went to college. Neither one of like my parents went to college. My dad did, I think, like later on in life. So growing up, I always thought, well, I have to go to college because I have to be better. And I think it's very easy to get sucked into the standard of, well, I have to be a doctor, I have to be a lawyer, I have to, do something that is guaranteed society's idea of success, because you want to make your parents proud and you want to make that inner child proud. And whenever that inner child grows up and they kind of see, well, like for me, I got into high school and I realized I hated school, and I wasn't, good at learning
Yeah.
about things that I didn't care about. Like I was failing classes. And to me, college at that moment seemed like something that was unnecessary because I didn't know what I needed to do. And it took me a really long time to kind of come to terms with the fact that, I could be successful without a degree. And I could be one of those people who, is, like a millionaire and a billionaire or whatever the case may be, and doesn't have a degree. Like the sky's the limit is as long as you make the decision to commit to it every single day. It's one of those things where I feel like we get sucked into that idea though. And whenever you kind of change courses, it is really normal to be like, well, I'm letting my young self, when in reality, you're not giving up on your dreams. The dream has just changed. And honestly, it can change for the better because now you are doing something that you're absolutely in love with, that you care about, that satisfies you. Like after you get done doing a set of lashes or doing microblading, or after I get done doing a facial, like there's this sense of like satisfaction and gratification, and then getting to do it over and over again every single day, where I think a lot of people, and sometimes it's a cultural thing, sometimes it's like pushed on for parents, sometimes it's, just battle own inner demons. But there is this idea that we don't want to let people down. So sometimes we submit to other people's versions of success because we think that, because we all at the end of the day, and we're kind of talking, well, not to seem extremely materialistic, but, we all want, a nice house. We all want to like, be able to go on vacation wherever we want and not have to like worry about it breaking the bank. We want to, a lot listening to this, we want to own a business and, be in control of our schedule. Or maybe if, that's not you and you're in, a different industry, either way, I think everybody has a level of success that they ultimately want to reach. But the issue is it's not exact formula. It's different for every single person. And some people are blessed enough that the cards kind of work out and they thrive in their field earlier than some. Like I feel like that I'm someone, I haven't been an esthetician very long at all. There's people who have been, in our industry for 20, 30 years. They've never, had their own location, or they've never started a podcast. You know what I mean? Like all this little things. And it doesn't mean that I'm unqualified or that they are a failure in that sense. It just means that everybody's version of success is different. So I just 100% believe in everything that I think it is very easy to get sucked into that idea of perfectionism and the societal norm. Like how you said for you, it was the idea of like the white coat. When in reality, you could fulfill your wildest dreams owning your own business and doing something that like you thought was just going to be a side hustle, but ended up, changing your life for the better. So I just love. And I wanted us to dive a little bit more into how you structure your day. And I don't know if you have any advice for, young women, whether it be, women who are starting their business, or women who are in nursing school right now, or people who are just listening to this who maybe are struggling to have that structure and have that discipline, like how you were talking about. What does a normal day look like for you when not in quarantine? And what are some habits that you like to incorporate to keep you performing at a high level and being capable? You talk about being capable a lot on your Instagram.
So I'm happy that you brought up the word habits, because I think that habits are what allow you to maintain that structure, but also to grow. So my average day outside of quarantine, ranges from either seeing 10 to 15 clients a day, which is a lot for your average lash artists. I know a lot of lash artists that see 5 to 6 clients a day, and that's their max. But I am somebody who juggles being a lash artist with also being a nursing student. So on days where I was going to school, I would be up at literally the crack of dawn on my way to a clinical or on my way to a class. And sort of those components of going to school, of seeing clients. On some days I would do both. But something that is sort of like repetitive day to day for me is exercise. And I'm somebody who, I'm not going to say that I'm a health freak, because I'm not, because I picked up 2 dozen donuts from Krispy Kreme yesterday. So I'm not a health freak, but I am a wellness freak, so to say.
Right. I was gonna say, don't let don't let her fool you, y'all. She's still, you actually, I think Rosie was the one who told me that this is about you. Like, you don't hesitate to indulge whenever you want, but you don't make that like your norm. Like like it's a treat. I think that's something that is good to also think about for those of you guys who are starting like health and wellness journeys, is you're never not going to eat donuts or pasta or pizza again. Like, it's just not realistic.
Exactly. It's not realistic. And that's why I feel like so many people are almost afraid to live healthy lives, because they think that if they're not counting calories and eating only things that are green and, super healthy for you, that they're failing. But that's not the reality. And I always say, you eat to live, or you live to eat. I live to eat. I like to eat my donuts. I like to eat my fried foods. I like all of those things. But at the same time, I like to feel good too. And I think that a big part of feeling good is fueling your body the right way. So whether that be with eating right, drinking enough water, or exercising. For me personally, exercising is a source of major stress relief. But also it's sort of a time of self-reflection. So when I'm working out, when I have my headphones in, of course I'm listening to music. I'm still going through the motions of exercise, but that's sort of my time, my break during the day, to sort of mentally brew of the things that I'm going to accomplish today, the things I'm going to accomplish tomorrow, the things I'm going to accomplish a year from now. It's sort of my time to sort of reflect on the things that I've accomplished so far, and the things that are coming, and what I have to do in order to get to where I want to be. So plus I get a great endorphin release, which contributes to sort of my motivation to get through the day and to continue checking things off of my to-do list. So if I am going to sort of lay down the habits that contribute to my everyday success, it's drinking water. So many people don't drink enough water. I try to get at least 3 to 4 liters of water in a day. And you are the skin guru, and you know how important water is just to have your skin functioning and glowing and not suffering. So that, I think, is super important. And don't get me wrong, there are days where I fall off the bandwagon, and I'm lucky if I get a liter of water in a day. But when I look back on the times that I have been functioning and performing at my max and my maximum potential, it's when I'm drinking as much water as my body needs, which is usually 3 to 4 liters a day. I'm exercising at least 5 out of the 7 days a week, because it's just good for you to get your blood flowing, to get those endorphins released, to get yourself going. Also, secret tip, I love celery juice. 16 ounces of celery juice every single morning will literally put you on the top of the pyramid. I swear by it.
So shout out to Medical Medium. I forget his actual name, but it's this guy on Instagram kind of has started like the celery juice wave, and it literally is like it has reversal effects, right? Like liver and like damage that's done to like your gut. You should definitely check him out on Instagram, because he was kind of the guy who started the celery juice movement. But yeah, people are like replacing coffee with that. Like they say that it's like, it's amazing.
I swear by it. And he's 100% the person who influenced me to start drinking celery juice. And not to toot my own horn, but I totally was on the bandwagon before everybody else hopped onto it. Celery was definitely actually much cheaper back then as well. It's been nuts. Everybody's on it. But you know what? That's awesome. It's awesome that
shout out to the celery industry.
Yes, it's awesome that the new norm is to be more health conscious and to be better in terms of, what you're providing for your body. So I think that is probably one of the most influential things that keep my system running, is fueling it the right way with water, sleep, diet, exercise. That's what gets me through my schedule day to day.
I love that. I think that's awesome. And I literally, like, I need to get on like the celery juice bandwagon. The only thing is I don't have a juicer. And it's just one of those things that I'll say I'll do it eventually, and I never do. But I definitely want to start doing that because it is really, really good for just the overall function of your body. It's good for your skin. It's good for I feel like just with humans in general right now, we don't get the proper nutrients in our diet. Even if you are eating really healthy, you still have like an extreme like humans, I think now in general, just have a really, really like big deficiency in what is like B12 and a lot of like nutrients that we need to just get us through our day and just perform and be capable. Like how you're always talking. So I love that those are things that you incorporate to keep you performing at a high level. Switching gears a little bit, how do you feel like your mindset of, you know, always trying to thrive and always trying to be your best self affects you in other areas of your life, like relationships, and just interactions with people, whether it be like romantically or just platonically, like as friends, or business relationships? And obviously they're all very different, but I feel like that you're someone who really has high standards for themselves because you carry yourself with this like manner of just like self-value. And I think that as a woman, that's what I always try to do, even if I have to like fake it sometimes. But every now and then I get blessed enough to meet women that as soon as they walk into the room, all eyes on them, and they feel like that, you know, I don't know, they just value themselves. Like you can just tell when someone is glowing from the inside because they're like, I truly love myself. I have self-love, and I'm just here to be me and to like enjoy it. It's just such, I think, like a beautiful thing. And I really feel like that you have that glow about you as well. So for like some of like the young women who are listening to this and who just really want to be like a boss bitch, like in every area of their life, not just like business wise or like in their career, what are your advice and tips to specifically probably young men? Because I always say I think you're such a great role model for women who like are chasing things, chasing, you know, the healthy family, chasing, you know, the good job, chasing just the good life, you know what I mean? So what are your tips to those women?
So I would have to say that first and foremost, the whole concept of being an independent woman is just now having society warm up to it. I feel like for a long time, if you were independent, you were sort of, I don't know, cold, you know, people sort of
Right.
shied away from the girl that can do it herself. And I'm happy that society is instead supporting that now. First and foremost, I think that the number one thing that allows for this sort of like sense of self-independence is financial independence. So as soon as you sort of are able to make decisions on your own because you can sort of financially handle it, I think that's the most influential concept in terms of your, you know, being able to sort of do things your way without having to rely on others. Now, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't ever rely on others. And that's something that I've sort of started to learn, that it's important to have healthy relationships with people in general. And you cannot conquer the world on your own. You need to have outlets of, you know, whether somebody to talk to, somebody to inspire you, somebody to motivate you, somebody to guide you.
Yeah.
It's important to have those healthy relationships. But in terms of sort of self-value and presenting yourself in that way, I think that the most important thing is sort of to be real in valuing yourself, that you shouldn't just want to look like you value yourself, because the second that you actually do value yourself and you prioritize your goals and your time and yourself, that will sort of just inevitably peek through all of the pores into the outside world, and that's just how people are going to see you. So for myself, the people that I choose to associate myself with are people that can actually benefit me. And it's not to say that I will never go out of my way to benefit someone else, because it's the exact opposite. I feel like I am such a giver, but when I give, I actually get so much from that experience. And so I don't look at the people in my life as though like, okay, what does this person have to offer me? What does that person have to offer me? You just can't look at people that way, because then you sort of,
Opportunistic.
exactly, you cannot be opportunistic because you shy away from even the possibility of building any type of real relationship. So I would have to say that for any sort of woman going out there and trying to sort of find a relationship and to maintain that high level of self-awareness, self-respect, and just self-love, I would say too, is to actually just be true to yourself. You have to know who you are. You have to know what it is you want and what you don't want. And of the bajillion people out in this world, there will be a multitude of people that will be able to sort of honor and respect that. And that person that you share likes and dislikes with, that's sort of the person that you're going to vibe with. And I think that that's important. You have to share values with individuals that you're going to build any type of relationship with, because if somebody doesn't respect those same values as you, then you're just going to inevitably clash.
I think it's so amazing that you brought up sharing values with people. I was recently can't even speak, watching this video about divorce attorneys talking about experiences that they've had and giving people marriage advice, to all these people who have seen so many divorces. And they said a common theme that they would notice with wives, especially with women who were getting divorced from their husbands, is they would come in and they would say, I cannot believe he's doing this to me. I cannot believe he's taxing and diming me like that, or he's being so vindictive. And the attorney said, it was a male attorney, and he said that he would always ask the women, well, what was he like during the marriage? And they would think about it a second, and then they would go, well, he was vindictive, or he would tax and dime everybody. You know what I mean? And it's one of those things where I think sometimes as women, we get caught in the idea of like, well, we like to be treated differently than everybody else. And if a partner sometimes treats you like, people can put on a mask sometimes. And I think it's very important to pay attention to how other people treat people who are not you, because your time is coming eventually. If, he cusses out the waiter on your first date, like, just wait, it's going to come. And I think to get back to sharing values, that's super important. If you see that someone is being nasty to other people but being kind to you, your time is coming. It'll be your turn next. And if you are someone like let's say with you, like, you value health and fitness and putting a lot of effort into your life, if you were with someone who maybe didn't have those same views and wasn't like as mature in just didn't have the same value, strain on the relationship, because
Absolutely.
because you're just on two different, playing fields, basically. So I love that you brought that up. And I also want to say that it's absolutely true that being independent as a woman, being an independent woman, is definitely a newer concept. And it's one that I think our generation has embraced to the fullest, because now I feel like, men and women, like throughout middle school, throughout high school, everybody is being to have, whereas before, even like in middle school, high school, and definitely in college, like, women did not experience the same type of treatment, because it was like, well, she's really not going to use this degree because she's going to get married and never work again, or whatever the case may be. So I think that I also want to say it's not always like attractive to men to be independent. There's a lot of men who who are not attracted to women who and not just like us, like, not just like the CEO type, like, it's not even like that, like people who own their own business. It could be just women who make more money than them. That can be intimidating sometimes, specifically in like male and female relationships. And I think that's so stupid, because I just wish that 2020, like, we all like, everything is different in every single person's relationship. Everybody has different values. Everybody has different things that are more important to them. And I just hate that sometimes there are stereotypes that are put on women who are successful in their careers and being like difficult in relationships, or walking all over men or women, whoever your partner is. And I think that that's so not true. But I also agree with you with the sense that sometimes when you are so independent in other areas of your life, it can be hard to let things happen in like your relationship. Like, not even for me in a romantic sense. Two of my guy friends were over the other day, and they were like, oh my gosh, like, there's like all these light bulbs that need to be changed in my house. There's all these like chairs that need to be like adjusted. And I'm always just like, I'll do it later because I'm a preparer. I just put it off, but really I don't know how to do it. And I'm not, it's probably never going to get done. And they were like, well, just like, they just started doing it. They were like, just let us do this. And instinctively I wanted to be like, stop messing with my shit. You know what I mean? Like, stop doing that. And then in my head I was like, just let them do that. Like, let someone do that for you. If they want to do, it's not like I was asking, like if they want to do that, let it happen. So I totally like relate to the idea of kind of like not being in control all the time and not having to do everything yourself. But it's a journey. It's definitely a journey. I'll
Yes.
get there eventually. The last thing that I wanted to ask you for the podcast is, what are some of your, which spent basically the entire podcast talking about this, but what is your mantra, or if you could kind of summarize how you thrive in your life? That's the question we always like to ask people before the podcast ends, is why do you choose to thrive and not survive?
Why do I choose to thrive to not survive? Well, I choose to thrive and not survive because I was raised by a single mother who sacrificed it all for me and my brother, of course. So how can I possibly live a mediocre life when so much was sacrificed for me to be great? And something that I live by, drops make puddles. That's something that I incorporate in my thought process of everything. Drops make puddles. So the little drops that, kind of come day by day by the little things that you do to benefit yourself, whether it's you wake up half an hour earlier, you spend extra time working on your craft, you go the extra mile to sort of build a better relationship with your supervisor. All of those little things will contribute to this grand big picture. So before you know it, those little drops, those little tiny improvements that are easy to attain, those sort of forms of instant gratification will lead to the end big puddle, the end big picture. That big dream that you have is attainable by these little drops of self-improvement. You can make it happen.
You can, it's possible. And that's what this entire podcast is about, is to just give you little droplets of inspiration to help you to use these tools and to use the things that we're talking about to create your dream life and to thrive in every area of your life. So thank you so much, Weronika, for coming and hanging out with me on Zoom. I'm so obsessed with you. You're such an inspiration, not just beauty community, but all around. You're an inspiration and one of my dear friends. So how can they find you on social media? How can our listeners stay in touch with you if they want more information on lash training? They're located in New York City and they maybe want to come see you. How can they find you?
You can find me on my Instagram at Luxe_aesthetics_NYC. I am available 24/7 nowadays with how things are going. And I genuinely love this industry and I love making women feel good from the inside out. So that's sort of like my goal, is to enhance what's already beautiful. All of you women are beautiful. And so my job is easy, to make something beautiful, it's a piece of cake. But I realize that sometimes it's just the words you say, it's the feeling you give off to people that really sort of gets over the finish line. So I am here, I am available. Thank you so much, Natalie, for taking the time, because you are not only an inspiration to me, but to everybody. And the reality of Skinspiration is that you are so inspirational on a day-to-day basis in every single aspect, even much more beyond than just skin, so to say.
Oh, well, I love you so much. And thank you so much for being here. And always remember, why survive, thrive. This is the Skin is In podcast. Thank you guys for listening. Hey babes, it's Natalie. Thank you so much for listening to the Skin is In podcast. If you want more, subscribe to our YouTube channel and also follow us on iTunes. You can also find us at Skin is In podcast on Instagram and Facebook. And remember, why survive when you can thrive?